Head S, Ministry of Manpower, Mr. Patrick Tay. You can just take the first cut alone.
Chairman, can I take all my 5 cuts together?
Just one, please, and then I'll call on the subsequent 4.
The first
cut.
Oh, first cut. Okay.
You will get to speak the rest of the cuts, but take the first cut first.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the total sum to be allocated for Head S of the estimates be reduced by $100. In my 5 cuts, I wish to highlight 5 groups of workers in Singapore whom I have concern for and wish to speak up for them. First, professionals, managers and executives, PMEs for short. Second, those that have been discriminated against. Third, those that have been harassed. Fourth, those who have special needs. And fifth, those who are ex-offenders. First, PMEs. The workforce profile in Singapore is changing rapidly. Today, 57% of our resident workforce are professionals, managers, executives and technicians. Although we have kept unemployment rates low and retrenchment declining the past 3 years, I'm concerned with the fact that more than 70% of those retrenched the last 3 years were PMETs. This is coupled with the fact that the majority of those classified as long-term unemployed are PMETs, especially the matured ones, and this group also often found it much harder to rejoin the workforce after losing their jobs. Unemployed and retrenched PMETs. Last year, during the debate of the President's address, Minister shared that MOM will step up support for mid-career job seekers and the long-term unemployed. Till today, there are mature PMETs who have shared their difficulties and challenges in finding and landing in jobs. Have we been successful thus far in assisting this group of workers? MOM shared that the enhanced place and train schemes and professional conversion programs will help more workers reskill and move into new occupations or sectors with progression. The new career trial will also enable more job seekers to try out short-term work stints to facilitate their assessment of new jobs and careers. Can MOM provide an update on these programs and its efficacy in minimizing job mismatches? In addition, for those who were successfully placed, how has the retention rates been the past 1 year? Jobs portal. Minister also shared last year that MOM will also transform its employment services through technology. The My Careers Future portal will make job searches more personalized, smarter and faster to better help job seekers and employers find suitable matches. Can MOM provide an update on how far this portal has been effective in reducing missed matches and getting more Singaporeans into quality jobs?
Mr. Patrick Tay, I understand that you have woven all the 4 cuts into one speech. Take it all at one go.
Thank you, Chairman. Young PMETs. I've also met young PMETs who themselves have faced challenges in securing a job. The Career Starter program was first announced in May 2018. Can MOM share how the program benefits graduating students? PMET underemployment. Then there is the issue of underemployment of PMETs. MOM has data on time-based underemployment. However, I'm more concerned about non-time-based underemployment. This is where PMETs do smaller and lesser jobs than what they are equipped, trained or competent for. I've been speaking about this the past few years and recommend a comprehensive study to ascertain the severity of this amongst PMETs in Singapore. PME union representation is something that the Labour movement has been pushing. The Industrial Relations Act was amended in 2015 to permit rank-and-file unions to collectively represent executive employees. To avoid conflicts of interest and undermining management effectiveness, executives with senior management functions were excluded from collective representation. These functions are set up in Section 17(3) of the Act. The tripartite partners have also issued the tripartite guidelines on extending the scope of union representation for executives. In the years that have followed, unions which have sought to extend their scope of representation to include executives have met with some difficulties, mainly due to the overly general way in which the exclusions in Section 17(3) have been worded. On the ground, our unions have come across instances where employers cite Section 17(3) to deny collective representation for executives who are not really in senior management grades or having access to information which would give rise to a genuine conflict of interest if they should be represented by the unions.
Mr. Tay, don't worry about the timing. We'll add in another 4 minutes when you hit 0.
Thank you, Chairman.
In case you get too stressed.
Some examples are, First, employees such as sales executives or engineers who help to prepare project bids. We have come across cases where employers have refused to allow union representation simply because these employees have access to confidential information on the company's budget and finances. Second, executives who carry out the initial rounds of performance appraisals of employees whom they are supervising, though they do not make the final determination of the employee's performance grade or promotion. Employers have sometimes argued that such executives are not entitled to collective representation because they can influence decisions on other employees' performance. The union's experience, therefore, is that the exclusions set out in Section 17.3 are too broadly worded, thereby giving employers the opportunity to claim that even mid-level executive employees fall within them, whereas the intent behind the law was only to exclude those who are at senior management levels and carry out functions which genuinely give rise to a conflict of interest if they are represented by a union. I would like to suggest that the wording of Section 17.3 of the Industrial Relations Act and the tripartite guidelines be reviewed and amended to better reflect the true intent of the law. This will help employers and unions to reach consensus on the extension of scope smoothly and expeditiously. Considering the above issues and challenges faced by PMETs in Singapore, I suggest the tripartite partners should work even closer together to examine in detail the plight of PMETs in Singapore, the precarious and vulnerable PMETs, so that we can identify any blind spots and further strengthen our efforts to preemptively and proactively assist them. Second, discriminated workers, nationality discrimination. I've been lobbying on strengthening the Singaporean core, fair and progressive hiring and eradication of nationality bias since 2011. It has been an arduous but positive journey. We have seen the introduction of the Fair Consideration Framework and the National Jobs Bank in 2014. There is also greater focus and awareness of the move towards not just fair but progressive workplaces and employment practices. Anecdotally, the situation has improved when I speak to fellow PMEs. However, in this regard, I do still hear complaints that employment agencies and placement companies are also where some of these malpractices and nationality discrimination happens. In some cases, nationality discrimination results in job losses of local PMEs and hiring of foreign PMEs for jobs which local PMEs can fill. In this regard, I wish to ask MOM to provide an update on how effective has the Fair Consideration Framework, FCF for short, been in the past 3 years since implementation in levelling the playing field for our local PMEs and eradicating nationality discrimination in hiring practices, including by employment and placement agencies. I know the Minister has shared that we have nailed more than 300 companies into what MOM calls the watch list, where we see the triple week. Has there been an improvement since the last time she shared about this watch list? And what kinds of companies, whether MNCs or SMEs, and from what sectors are these companies from? MOM had also introduced a capability transfer program last year. This was to help and support the transfer of specialized knowledge to strengthen the Singaporean core of talents for the future. How has been the progress thus far? Age discrimination. Another form of discrimination is respect to age. Ageism, as they call it. There is an unconscious bias against older workers in general, although it is often difficult to detect such discrimination and gather evidence to prosecute and censure perpetrators. I hope the tripartite work group on older workers will also look into minimizing, if not eradicating this, in the selection, recruitment, appraisal, promotion, and even during retrenchments. Third, harass workers. I've raised this at the Ministry of Law's COS, but I'm raising this again as anecdotally, harassment in the workplace, whether sexual or non-sexual in nature, is something that cannot be condoned or tolerated. Currently, we have a tripartite advisory and legislation such as the Protection from Harassment Act and Penal Code, which already empower the police and the courts to deal with egregious cases of harassment. For cases of workplace harassment that do not cross the threshold to constitute a criminal offence, it is still important that they are managed well. How can we provide more support to employers and employees to do so? How can then we ensure that those whistleblowers are not prejudiced against? Fourth, special needs workers. Another group of workers and job seekers I'm concerned about are those with special needs. Beyond those with disabilities, there are those with special needs such as autism, ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, and other medical and mental conditions such as depression. We know many countries in the West have strong support systems and ecosystems to provide meaningful work and jobs for such job seekers. Can we study their successes so that we can build a similarly strong system and framework here in Singapore? I'm aware of the Open Door program supporting companies to hire, train and integrate persons with special needs. How can we build on these efforts to help more persons with special needs to join the workforce? Fifth, ex-offender workers. The final group are those who are ex-offenders. I'm aware COS has been doing more to help their inmates transit and reintegrate back into society when they are released. Ex-offenders may require more help to reintegrate back into society, including finding employment. The career counselling, training, employment facilitation and reintegration should start whilst they are in prison so that they can seamlessly integrate back into the labour market and be gainfully employed. This includes those who are on tagging and day release. How are we helping ex-offenders re-enter and remain in employment? Mr. Speaker in Chinese. 在此我会针对5种类型的弱势工友呼吁大家关注。第一，最近3年被裁员的员工中，有多过78%是 BMED 年长的 BMED 在重新受雇方面以及长期失业方面都高于年轻的员工。我认为劳资政双方应加强合作，了解弱势 BMED 们各方面的需求，为他们提供及时有效的帮助。第二，就是歧视的现象。第一个是国际歧视，在我们实行那个公平考量框架的过程中，这3年来，会不会有必要再检讨一下，看它的成效和效果？第二就是年龄歧视，我希望劳资政工作小组在整理年度报告的时候，能够注意到这一方面年龄歧视的问题。第三，被骚扰的工友，我们致力以创造一个零骚扰的工作场所和环境。第四，有特别需求的工友，我们应该尽量关注那些特需工友，让他们发挥所长。第五，犯过法的工友，我呼吁雇主不要用有色眼镜来看待这些犯过法的工友们，给他们机会，让他们重回职场。Thank you.